Welcome to Offgrid Victory. Just wanted to give you an update on the shipping container. So we finished framing it out, and what is left is insulation. But I wanted to go and give you a detailed account of how I decided to frame this particular shipping container out, the placement of the windows and such. First of all, I'm using 2x4s, and what I really tried to do is get the maximum space out of this shipping container. It's a 40-foot high cube, and so the exterior dimensions are 9.5 feet. And so what I wanted to do is try to capture as much vertical space as possible, as well as the horizontal spaces as well. So first of all, I wanted to show you that all these right here, every single one of these 2x4s that are laid against the walls are all on its side. We're not really looking for structural support, although the windows, like I said, and the sliding door both need some reinforcement. So there is some structural elements to the 2x4 framing, but not a lot. Really what I was trying to do is get the most amount of space out of the shipping container, most amount of livable space as possible. The other thing I decided to do is, as you can see, all the window placements are high in the ceiling. Now that's so that I can go ahead and slide them open for ventilation, cross breeze. And of course, because of how high it is up close to the ceiling, it should be able to let out all the hot air in the summertime. And in the wintertime, it should be able to keep them closed because they are double insulated windows and do have some argon or some inert material inside the double pane. The top right there is also 2x4s, but they've been ripped a little bit down, and I'll show you in more detail why that was done. So come on in. All right, so as you can see, each one of these, I guess, wall members are notched right there. Because of the shipping container, there is a notch in the container for this to weld the sides and the top together. That particular notch has to be made. That's about half the 2x4 width that has to be cut out in order to make that notch. And then I'm using these brackets to hold the upper frame, the walls together, as you can see, across to that. And then it's cross braced here, just going vertically all the way down the shipping container to that far end. And so I'll show you the notch if I can a little bit closer here. Anyway, right there you can see half of it is about cut out, and yeah, and that enables this stuff to be put right up against the wall. And in terms of what I'm doing here, there is a spot of glue behind this to hold the shipping container to the stud, but also it's going to get spray foam. And that's the last part of this build before we really finish her off. And that's to hold the moisture down inside of this container. The main thing I want to accomplish with the spray foam is not really insulation value. I really want to keep the moisture level down in this container. Every piece of this metal material has to be covered in order for it to not sweat in the summer and in the winter due to condensation from people being inside of it. So that's the idea. And so more of this framing. It gets a little complicated on the edges because there is a metal corner that you got to deal with. The rear is a little bit different too, just because we need to be able to spray the foam insulation all the way in. So let's see right here. Like for instance, this corner, the spray foam is going to have to go in there and tie all of that up. So there is space in order to do that. So that's the only difference in terms of the side construction versus the back side versus the normal sides. The other thing is I wanted to show you that we use pressure treated lumber on the floor, and that's just in case if we have any moisture or wetness on the floor to deal with that. And just backing away here, so the way this was done, I'm going to lay, as I put the drywall on this particular construction in, it's going to hang here, and the next sheet is going to hang here horizontally, and the last piece will be cut, and it'll be a smaller piece at the bottom. The other nice thing about that is if there is ever water damage, it should be able to, the seam portion will be easier to cut away and re-put another piece of drywall if that ever occurred. So yeah, so one sheet here, one complete sheet here, and then of course a little piece down there. And then up there, as you can see, we'll have plenty of room to hang sheets as well in terms of support. And so I think that's it in terms of the framing of the container goes. And like I said, really the purpose of all of this, the way it was framed, in terms of the normal way you would see people framing the shipping containers, is to capture as much space as possible. Granted, there's only 40-odd feet of this container, and it's roughly 8 feet wide and 9 feet high. So you want to be able to try to capture as much of it as possible. So by laying the frame vertically, well, on the side horizontally, like a lot of the construction that I do, you capture that space in terms of the 2x4 width on this side and that side, as well as the rear. And of course, the top is just traditional framing. It's a little bit more than 16 inches, but that's really the shipping container. Because what I'm trying to do is I want to try to go from, as you can see right over here, I want to go from peak. This one is peak, so there's a peak there. So I want to go every other corrugation at least. And then in the windows areas, there's a little bit more just for structural support. Not that it really needs it, but yeah. There we go. Alrighty. This is construction in a shipping container to maximize the cubic space inside. Alrighty. Shalom.